Hey guys, and welcome back to the Spruce and Linen channel. I'm Janelle, and today we're gonna make a pillow. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably already seen this, but I made this little piece of weaving and I finished it the same way you would finish it as I've shown you in the other videos. But this time there's no tassels, and I'm gonna make this into a pillow cover. So I'm not fully making this into an enclosed pillow, but personal preference, if you wanted to weave a piece for the back, you could do that. There's lots of different ways to do this, but this is one way. So for the back of it, I'm using a cotton canvas. It's nice and thick because I kind of wanted to at least somewhat be in the same heaviness as this woven piece with this piece. So it's a pretty heavy cotton. I've washed it and already cut out my pieces. Mine is gonna have a zipper, but again, if you wanted to do Velcro or have an overlap, you can do it whatever way you want, but let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I did was cut out a piece of fabric that's the same width as my weaving, and then I cut it quite a bit longer and cut a little chunk off because I want to have my zipper sort of at the bottom of the pillow. I didn't want to put it in the seam because that would get really thick with how thick the actual woven piece is. So assuming that most people don't have a serger, you want to just be careful of your fabric fraying. So before I put the zipper in, I just made a little like 1/8 of an inch fold over and ironed it down so that when I fold it over again with my zipper, it'll be completely enclosed and won't fray everywhere. So yeah, the first thing we're gonna do is sew the zipper into these two pieces. Okay, so I'm gonna start sewing the zipper on, and I'm gonna make it so it's an invisible zipper. This one is not a zipper that comes apart, so I've just kind of trimmed off the edges to where my seam allowance will help me to not actually sew into that metal piece. So this is the underside of my fabric, this is the outside. This is where I've ironed that little bit so that everything is nice and enclosed when I'm done, because it's gonna end up like this. So there's no raw edges out. So what I'm gonna do is face my zipper down, and I'm just gonna sew just really close to the edge all the way down on the side. Okay guys, so as usual, I'm winging this, so I'm probably problem solving my way through it. So because the metal stops at this end of the zipper are like way beyond where I need to go, pretty much I just couldn't buy the right size of zipper for this project, so I bought the closest one. Since we're not gonna have a metal zipper stop, I need to create my own zipper stop so that once it's all sewn together, you'll see that there'll be a little stop here so that the zipper head just can't get off the zipper. You need to make sure you do that or you'll end up losing the zipper head and then the zipper is essentially pointless. So I'm just gonna sew that into there and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay guys, so now we have our zipper sewn on like this, and in order to make it invisible, all we're gonna do is flip this over, and we're basically gonna iron this so that it covers up the zipper teeth. So we only need to do that for half the zipper at this point because we still haven't sewn this on. So basically you're just gonna go through, and because I'm using cotton, I can kind of press it with my fingers for now, and I'll use the iron later. But I'm just kind of rolling that edge so that it's just covering the edge of the teeth. Now, if you want to do an exposed zipper, that's totally fine. Again, this is all personal preference. And I mean, I'm just winging it. That's how I roll. So now, before I go sew this down, I'm gonna sew on the other half. So we're gonna just do the same thing on the other side. Oh. I swear I know what I'm doing sometimes. Okay guys, so in my infinite wisdom, pulled the zipper right off the end of the zipper. So now I couldn't get it back on because the zipper is really tiny and cheap and it wasn't working. So I'm taking this one out. Thankfully I bought two. This is why we needed the stopper, but I got ahead of myself and just yanked at that zipper and pulled it right off, and I couldn't get it back on. So this is, as usual, how projects go for me, is I wing it, and most of the time things work out well, and sometimes I pull zipper heads off of zippers. So we are undoing, which, as my weaving teacher always told me, unweaving is just as much a part of weaving as weaving. So I guess the same is true for sewing. Now I have the zipper sewn on, and this is the back side just to show you what it looks like. I mean, if you need an actual zipper tutorial, apparently you shouldn't come to me because I don't do everything right. So this is what the front looks like. So normally, if you were doing an exposed zipper, it would look kind of like that. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll those edges together to cover up the zipper, and then we're gonna just flip it over again and put another stitch right where we stitched before, but that'll go through all sides of the fabric. So that's what I'm gonna do now, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. Okay, so now I've got, you know, these nice little stitches along the side. The zipper is hidden inside. You can see the head a little bit over here, but that's totally fine. But then now we have the opening for where you'll be able to stuff the pillow insert in. And again, personal preference, but I like the idea of being able to take out the cushion to either put a new one in or use the cushion again if you're not going to use the cover. It's just one of those things that makes it a little bit more versatile. And from a selling point of view, if you were selling these, you could sell them with or without the insert, because without the insert makes it a lot cheaper for shipping, and that's always a good idea. Okay, so I actually cut this a little bit big. I'll just show you here, because I didn't know exactly how much I needed for the zipper and I didn't feel like doing math. So I just cut it a little bit big, and now you can see I'll need to cut just a little bit off the top here. So this is gonna be a 17 by 17. Finished, it will be a 16 by 16. I intended it to be a little bit bigger than this, but it shrunk in at the sides more than I expected. So that's another reason why you should make this part bigger than you think it needs to be. But I'm just gonna go cut this down, and then we're gonna sew it all together, and that's really all you gotta do. Okay, so now we're gonna just sew around the edge, and I'm just gonna kind of, this pillow is symmetrical, but if you had an up and down, you just need to make sure this is the top and this is the top. And I'm gonna pin it all together and sew around the edge. And one thing I will mention that I'm gonna do, I'll show you on this side, is that when you go around the corners, because we have so much bulk with all this yarn here, I'm not just gonna go do a square corner. As I go around, I'm gonna kind of curve it around, just giving it more room once you turn it right side out. So I'm gonna go ahead and pin this and sew it. I'm using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Again, with something this thick, you need a little more than, you know, just a tiny little seam allowance. So here we go. All right, so now I've got it all sewn up. and we're gonna have the moment of truth, and we're gonna flip it right side out. It's a little tricky to get this zipper out. So my corners worked pretty well. Looks like I could have angled them a little bit more, but it's pretty good. All right, so now we have our cute little cushion cover, and I'm gonna go get an insert. I think the one I got is gonna be a bit too big, but I'm gonna try to stuff it in here and show you what it looks like as a fully formed pillow. And here is the finished product. I am really excited about it. I've never made my weaving into a pillow before, so it's pretty satisfying. And of course, I will show you the back as well. So you can see it turned out nice and clean. We've got that zipper at the bottom, and I'm really, really pleased with it. So for the pillow insert, one thing I will let you know is that this pillow turned out to be a 16 by 16 inch pillow, but I actually put a 20 by 20 inch pillow insert into it so that it's really nice and dense. However, it is a down pillow, so this is what it looks like before it's in the pillow. And this is actually from IKEA. So these are a really nice, I think it's duck down fill pillow. Nice and cheap from IKEA, and as you can see, like, they're not very filled, and I wanted to make sure my pillow had that really filled out look, and then it doesn't compress as much either. But all in all, I'm super happy with it. I hope this was helpful, especially, you know, my mistakes. That's always fun. But if you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell to get notifications when I post new videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh no. Don't zip the zipper head off the zipper, Janelle. That is not what we need right now. Why did I have to do that? I was even gonna sew that down so I couldn't do that. I should have. But if you like this video, please hit that like button. Why is that always so hard?